So I just finished reading the first Bleach box set, and man, this was amazing. So I decided, why not make a video about it? And let's just get right started. Starting out, we have Bleach volume number 1. Everyone knows this cover. When you think of Bleach, this is probably one of the first things you think of. Pretty much all that happens in this arc is we meet the main cast. Ichigo, Rukia, Chad, Ishida, Orihime. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, also Ichigo's family. We see a fight between Ichigo and Orihime's older brother because he's mad at Orihime for not talking to him as often as she used to. And he wants to kill her now for some reason, and Ichigo saves her, and yay, they end. Also, of course, in the first chapter, Ichigo unlocks his Soul Reaper powers, and as Rukia states, she has never seen a Zanpakuto that big. Next is volume 2 featuring Rukia. In this volume, pretty much there is two things that happen. One is we meet Urahara, which is really cool. He's probably my top 3 favorite characters in Bleach. Oh yeah, 3 things actually. One is Urahara, as I said. Second is Kon, and the third is Chad tries to save this parrot, and the parrot is actually a little kid but trapped in a parrot's body, and this hollow is following the little boy so he can kill more people because the parrot like lures them in or something. I don't know how to explain it. Moving on, we have volume 3 featuring Orihime. Pretty much this volume is only one thing and one thing only. It is the fight with Grant Fisher. Okay, maybe not the fight, but like the whole incident, like that slow introduction and then the boom, the backstory and everything. Or maybe not backstory, but just overall explanation of what happened pretty much. Next is volume 4 featuring Ishida. In this volume, there are pretty much 2 things that happen as well, mainly. One is we meet Don Kanonji, and if you don't remember who he is, he's like this Japanese star, and 25% of Japan's population watches shows. And he comes to Ichigo's town, and he tries to perform an exorcism, which just ends up making the lost soul a hollow by poking the like incomplete hole in his chest, which was the only thing keeping him alive, or it was like symbolizing the progress between him becoming a full-fledged hollow and that entire fight. And the second is we learn Ishida is a Quincy. That's for now all. Oh yeah, and Rukia gets these random calls about for hollows, and when they arrive, they are never there. And at the end of the volume, we learn it's actually Ishida doing that, and that he's a Quincy. And for this volume, that's pretty much all that happens. The next volume is volume 5 featuring Chad. In this volume, we pretty much see Ishida using this like hollow bait. I don't know how that's called actually, but it pretty much attracts hollows, and Ichigo of course tries to stop him and say this is pointless, but Ishida has a point to prove to him, and so that happens. Chad meets Ichigo's little sister because she's about to be killed by a hollow, and that's where Chad unlocks his powers. He unlocks them by saving Ichigo's little sister. And second, what happens is the hollow bait also attracts to the school where Orihime and Tatsuki are at that moment, and also this gay girl who's really hyperactive, which is, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. The lesbian girl runs away to safety. Meanwhile, Tatsuki and Orihime stay behind, and Tatsuki tries to protect Orihime. And for a while, she does just that. She's just a fucking boss. She's just alone there with no spiritual powers, just straight up hitting the enemy while protecting someone and beating their ass too. And the only reason why they beat him is because Tatsuki gets so tired because of their numbers, and Orihime then unlocks her powers. And yeah, that was pretty cool, I guess. But Tatsuki is such a fucking boss. Next is volume 6 featuring Urahara. As I said, he's my top 3 favorite character. Okay, in this volume there's pretty much 2 things that happen mainly. First is Ishida realizes that he's a fucking dumbass and realizes that there shouldn't be that many hollows, something is wrong. And then suddenly all of the hollows stop. They go back to some crack. Wait, pause. And then suddenly a Menos Grande appears, and if you don't remember what that is, it's this like very big and strong hollow. And Ishida doesn't know what to do, and Ichigo just tells him, bruh, this is your mistake, you have to clean it up. And then he does an artificial Getsuga Tensho by using the Menos Grande energy beam, or I don't know what that's called, and taking the energy from it because Ichigo is always using his spiritual energy because he can't control it. So he has like, it's like a plastic bottle with a hole at the bottom, pretty much Ichigo draining his spiritual power, and the Menos Grande giving or attacking him with the spiritual energy was pretty much just filling the bottle back up. up, which means that he was always fighting not at his full power, not consciously, but on accident. So Ichigo uses Getsuga Tensho, but on accident, as I said, and kills the Menos Grande, or at least forces it to retreat. But then Ichigo can't control that energy that he just released, and he was about to implode or something, I don't remember. And so Ishida takes... Oh no, it wasn't the energy beam. It wasn't the energy beam from the Menos Grande. It was from Ishida's bow, or Quincy bow. I don't know what that's called. And gave it to Ichigo, and so Ichigo could use Getsuga Tensho, or that spiritual attack. And when all said and done, Ichigo was suffering because of the consequences of what he's done, and he was about to die because of the immense pressure. And Ishida decides to help him by taking Ichigo's spiritual energy and putting into the bow attacks, so slowly would drain away, basically just opening the hole bigger and opening bigger and more holes in the water bottle analogy that I used just now. And second, Byakuya and Renji pull up to take Rukia back to the Soul Society, and that's pretty much all that happens in volume 6. Next is volume 7 featuring Byakuya. I think this is a very good cover. Okay, that last explanation was way too long, so for the rest of these are just going to be a lot shorter because I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long. In this volume, pretty much at the start, Ishida fights Renji, and actually at the start I thought that he might have a chance, but then Renji just beats him easy, no diff, and then Ichigo pulls up and tries to save Rukia, and at the start he was getting his ass beaten by Renji, but then he just powered up almost, and he was about to beat Renji, but then Byakuya said, nah, don't disrespect my vice captain like that, and one-shots Ichigo. Rukia convinces Byakuya that it's not worth even killing him, and leaves him for dead, and pretty much the remaining volume is just Ichigo's training to be a Soul Reaper again. Next is volume 8. This is a really creative cover, because it was probably drawn like this, but then Kubo said, nah, this is better. That voice was so fucking dumb. In this volume, pretty much all that happens is Chad and Orihime starting to understand how to use their powers better with the help of Yoruichi, and Ichigo actually completing the Soul Reaper training. And he does end up having like a mask, which was unexplainable, but of course, I'm up to date with the anime right now, and I of course know what it means, but damn, the foreshadowing, man, insane. Oh yeah, Ishida also goes on his separate training arc, but we don't really see anything of it. The rest of the volume is just kind of slice of life, or the main characters saying bye to their families and getting ready to go to the expedition to the Soul Society. And the last pages of this volume is Urahara opening the gate to go to the Soul Society, and that's volume 8. These first 8 volumes were pretty much the first saga or arc, like substitute Soul Reaper arc, and the rest of this is purely Soul Society, or I guess the last volume could be argued that it's not exactly Soul Society. It's like a volume in between the next arc. Next volume is volume 9. In this volume we meet the Shiba family. I don't remember her name, but I remember his name, which is also a part of the Shiba family. His name was Ganju. We meet Ganju and his squad, which was just... We meet Ganju's squad once, and that's all. The first, I think, 4 chapters of this 9-chapter volume is the fight with Jindambo. We also meet the second captain, actually. The first was, of course, Byakuya, and the second is Ichimaru, which is the captain of the 3rd company. Then, Yoruichi says, oh no, this exit is blocked off now. You should be happy that you're even alive now. And says there's only one other option to get into the Soul Society because it's like blocked off right now. And that's to go to the Shiba family to get launched in there. And that's what they do. But it takes 2 chapters to get there. In between that time, they meet Ganju. And yeah, she shows what they will use to get in there. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the volume. God damn, I need to hurry this up, man. Actually, I wonder how much footage has been actually used for now and how much I've cut out. Like right now, it is 18 minutes and 40 seconds into the recording. So I hope I can finish before 30 minutes goes up. So I will try to go faster. The next volume shows Ganju. There's 2 main things that happen in this volume. First is the training for them to be even able to get in there, because even if they can get launched, they will just die. So they need to make this like spiritual sphere. It takes Ichigo a long time while the others can do it really quickly. Ichigo manages to get it eventually, and they get into the Soul Society. And the second thing that happens in this volume is Ichigo versus Ikkaku, which is a fucking sick fight, by the way. And if Ikkaku just used his Bankai here, it would be the end of the story, but I guess the main character needs to survive for the story to go on. Next volume is volume 11. This is probably my top 2 or top 3 favorite volume covers, featuring Renji. Alright, Alright, in this volume, there's one main thing that happens in a bunch of small fights, like Ishida and Orihime being together and them fighting this random seat 3, I think, and like Chad fighting some nobodies and yeah, whatever. Not really much that happens. But I think, as you could guess, if this cover features Renji, then that means that Renji is a prominent character for this volume. And you would be right if you would guess that, because in this volume, the Renji Ichigo fight happens, which Ichigo barely manages to win against Renji. And also the last chapter is pretty much just a backstory of how Renji and Rukia are related. Or not related, but they know each other. And moving on, next volume is volume 12 featuring Aizen. In this volume, there are 3 main things that happen. The first is Aizen's death, and yeah, if you watch the anime or you should know what's going on with Aizen's death. And Toshiro already thinks there's something suspicious about it. And yeah, the second thing that happens is Chad versus the captain of the first company. Also the insanely viral clip of I want to call an ambulance for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. That was so fucking cool, man. And then actually in this volume there's the start of Ichigo versus Kenpachi, and holy fuck, this was insanely cool. This was one of my favorite volumes in this entire box set. So yeah, next is volume 13 featuring Zaraki. Now honestly, I don't really like this cover. Alright, in this volume there are, I'd say, 2 main things that happen. Basically the entire volume is just Ichigo versus Kenpachi, which is of course deserved because this was an insanely cool fight. The rest of the volume is Ganju trying to save Rukia, but only then he learns who Rukia is, and then he doesn't want to save her anymore. As he is debating on if he should save her, Byakuya approaches from behind, and both Hanatoro, oh yeah, Hanatoro also appears I think in the previous volume. Hanatoro is a cool character. They see Byakuya approaching, which of course I would be fucking stressed too. Alright, next is volume 14 featuring Hanatoro. Alright, in this volume there's pretty much 2 main things that happen. The first is Ganju trying to fight Byakuya, which of course doesn't go well, but then Ichigo stops him and says, nah, let me do it. And so he does. He tries to fight Byakuya, which goes a little better, but I think, of course, Ichigo was trying to provoke Byakuya, and that works, but then Yoruichi pulls up and knocks Ichigo the fuck out, which I was so confused about. But of course, she explains if he fought Byakuya right now, he would die, and which... yeah, later we learned that Byakuya wasn't even trying against him. And the second thing is Ishida versus Korutsuchi. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's basically the 12th captain. That fight was insane, or at least the first part of it. And at the very last pages of this volume, Ishida uses like this final Quincy power that only a select few in the Quincy family can even use, which is like you trade his Quincy powers for short-term immense strength. And yeah, next is volume 15 featuring Kira. Now, I really just don't like Kira, but his Zanpakuto's ability is actually really cool. Or Shikai's ability, I don't know. It's actually really cool. First part of this volume is the continuation of Ishida versus Korutsuchi. Korutsuchi should have died here, but I understand he's necessary to push the plot, so yeah. Then there's the Ichigo training, and the last 2 chapters are pretty much a backstory of how Kira, Renji, and Rukia are like good friends for a long time. Also, there's Hitsugaya, basically trying to unsolve the mystery of why Aizen is dead and what killed him, or how did he die, or anything and everything. Next is my favorite cover in the series, volume 16 featuring Toshiro. I don't know why I like it that much, but it's just so nice. Alright, in this volume there's actually a lot that happens. It is Ichimaru versus Toshiro, and then later Rangiku as well, and Kira and Hina, and a lot more. But I don't feel like naming all of them, or maybe that is all of them, I don't know. Then there's the continuation of Ichigo's training for Bankai. Renji joins him, which is pretty cool. Then there's the backstory of the first company where Rukia joined, that company's vice captain, which is actually pretty sad in my opinion. And then the finale of this volume is Kenpachi challenging 2 captains to a duel because Zaraki wants to fight Ichigo and they want to kill him immediately. And then there's the fight. Yeah, very cool. Next is volume 17 featuring Yoruichi. Basically, there's 3 main things that happen in this volume. First is Renji versus Byakuya, which was insanely cool. And Renji is a lot stronger now than I thought. Or maybe Byakuya is weaker. Or both. Or I don't know. Very cool fight. Next is the continuation slash ending of Kenpachi versus the two captains, which was an amazing fight. Probably one of my top 5 favorite fights in this box set. And then the last chapter of this volume is Ruki about to get executed. Alright, next is volume 18 featuring Soifon, and man, I know Soifon gets better as a character later on, but man, do I hate her for now. The first half of this volume is pretty much Ichigo saving Rukia. Also, the 1st and 13th captains also, like, at least slow down the execution, which gave enough time for Ichigo to save her. Then Yamamoto says an insane proclamation, 1 general captain versus 2 captains. And with Yamamoto's aura, I thought that Yamamoto was gonna stomp them, which he kinda did. And then the last 2 chapters are pretty much Soifon versus Yoruichi, which, man, I changed my opinion on the fight like 2 or 3 times while reading. At first I thought that Yoruichi was gonna stomp her, then Soifon was like, oh wait, shit, she has like 20 or 30 dudes with her, she can easily beat Yoruichi. Then Yoruichi just easily beats them all in a second. And then Soifon starts to fight her one-on-one, and she reveals some special attack, which, wait, this is already going into the next volume, volume 19, which I'll continue the sentence. Volume 19, featuring Ichigo in his Bankai form. And continuing what I started, Soifon tries to pull out some insane new attack, which Yoruichi says has already been invented, and she knows it, and she was the one to make it. And Soifon is so mad that she can't beat Yoruichi even after all this training. Cool fight. And what impressed this volume the most for me is Tite Kubo draw a full chapter in color, which, wow. Let me check real quick. The chapter was 162, and if you go online, probably, actually I'm not going to finish that, but basically, if you read the original, I think, Japanese print, then chapter 162 would be full color. Or also, you can buy the issue, I think, online. I don't know what issue it is, but you could look up, like, what Shonen Jump issue was Bleach 162. And then you can go on eBay or somewhere and buy it. So yeah, if you buy it, then a full chapter will be in color. And of course, I think Tite Kubo did an amazing decision by coloring it, because that chapter was Ichigo unlocking his Bankai, which, oh my god, an amazing fight. Then there was a clash of Bankais, and Byakuya, of course, again, I thought at first Byakuya gonna win, Ichigo gonna win, Byakuya gonna win, and at the end I thought that Byakuya was going to win, but then Ichigo goes full hollow mode. And yeah, the fight continues into the next volume. In this volume, at the end, Ichimaru confronts Momo about why she's there, and the like main 42 or something, basically the ones that pretty much ruled the Soul Society, are all dead. All the orders they've been giving were just fakes by someone else. Hina sees this and understands this, and Ichimaru confronts her, and that's where the volume ends. Volume 20, featuring Ichimaru. In this volume, pretty much, this mainly kind of focuses on Aizen slash Toshiro, because in this volume there is this scene where Aizen almost kills Momo, and then he confronts Rukia, and the end of Byakuya and Ichigo fight is there, and Ichigo is so exhausted, but he'll still fight for, and he did fight for Rukia against Aizen, and oh my god, Aizen stopped his attack with one finger, which, holy shit, that's just so badass, honestly. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Basically just the climax of Toshiro's researches or investigations, and it turning out that Rukia has the Hyogokyu, I can't pronounce it, man, inside of her, and Aizen takes it out, and she actually doesn't die, which is surprising. The last volume, featuring Shinji. The first half of this volume is pretty much all of the misunderstandings in Soul Society arc being unraveled and everything ending peacefully, or at least until Aizen, Tosen, and Ichimaru like float away almost into the next like nice transition into the Arrancar arc, which is really cool. And then the other half of this volume is pretty much like substitute Soul Reaper, but we meet a new character, Shinji, and he is a Soul Reaper, we learn. And yeah, this is where I'm going to leave off. Oh yeah, the last chapter in this volume, we learned that there are Arrancars, and Ichigo's dad is a Soul Reaper. Little bonus, Bleach travel guide. Yeah, I read, there's basically 2 chapters in this, or very short chapters. Basically, introduction to the Soul Society and introduction to the human world. I've read all of the human world part, and I read the first page of the Soul Society, and I really can just not be bothered to read it. I guess I will read it soon. That's it from this review, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Wait a second. Yo, what the fuck was that? Bro, how many times? What is... My fence isn't broken. What the fuck? That was fucking weird. But I guess I have a box set now. Let's open this bad boy up. Yo, what the fuck was that? It's you again! I told you, you have a restraining order! At least learn how to throw. Yo, what the fuck was that? Someone in my yard? Again?
Catch.
Learn how to throw.
Bro, I was looking in the window.
The fuck was that? The fuck? Do you have COVID?
Hey!
Yo, what the fuck was that? Middle-aged man?
I was not expecting that.
Yo, what the fuck was that? Who are you?
Catch. Fuck.
I'm just going to add a bloopers section.
I was thinking about that. Catch.
Who are you?
I don't know.
Yo, what the fuck was that?
Hey.
Are you a bit delayed? Yo, who the fuck was that? Who the fuck?
Catch.
What the fuck was that? Who dare interrupt me in my goddamn house?
Catch. For fuck's sake.
I had to lead like this. I had to lead like this.
Don't give